Hello, welcome back to the Sashiko Live Streaming on Thursday night. It is Thursday, May 4th at 9 o'clock Eastern Time. Has been a month, or even more than a month. I apologize for the last week that I had to cancel it. I just came back from Japan last week and I could not be awake at that time. So this is the first time in last month. This is going to be the restarting live streaming, like ordinarily not monthly, weekly live streaming on Thursday night. Okay. So yes, welcome to the Thursday live streaming. And this will be the live streaming where I stitch Sashiko while talking about Sashiko. It's not a tutorials, it's not a seminar, it's not a webinar, it's not a class, it's just a place for us to stitch together. So if you could bring something to stitch with, that'd be wonderful time together. I think everything is good. So I am still adjusting from the pretty intensive 2 weeks in Japan. So like I don't feel sick, but I don't feel like, how do you say that? I don't feel adjusted. I feel a little weak. Let me check the audio first. Oh, audio is good. So I will do a little bit, probably 30 minutes or so, and I wanted to say hello to everybody, which I could not do last week. So I would like to start saying that, not saying that, I would like to start stitching, and yes, I will talk about some Sashiko. Again, I won't be able to do it a little bit longer today. I hope that I can come back to the live streaming like regularly next week, which is going to be like a 1 hour or so. If you have any questions, if you have any requests for me to talk about, please leave the comment, and I will switch the camera. Boop, boop. I don't feel fine yet. It's probably jet lag. I don't know what's going on, but I feel quite strange. So as much as I would like to keep doing that for a long time, I might just take off a little earlier. As I will explain more about the eventful Japan tour or Japan trip or workshop series in Japan, I may rephrase it in the future. That was a very draining for my personal reasons. I hope it was not like that to many people there, but I was quite draining from my personal expectations, and that was expected, something expected. And I was okay in Japan and I functioned well in Japan, but once I get back home here, my body started reacting a little strongly. So I think it's important for me to take little time off, like relax, rest enough before I actually go back to the ordinary. Plus, it's good to spend time with family where I could not be with for a long time. So it's a little strange. I received several inquiries, like questions or like requests, when would be the next Japan tour. Undecided yet. I have no idea yet. It's not, I cannot promise that it's gonna be the next year around this time. Probably, I don't think it's gonna happen this year, so, well, I'll keep you updated. I will keep thinking about it. So, well, it seems like everybody who were there were still tired, so it was quite I cannot believe them, the friends that I took with. They were so energetic, and I still cannot believe how energetic they were. You were, actually. I could not. I enjoyed a lot. Their energy was something. Lily-san! Lily-san, long time no see. Long time no. Yeah, long time. Has been a long time. I don't even have the thread clipper right now. So yeah, that's that. But I gotta go back to the regular routine, so that's what I'm gonna do little by little. I have to go back to the... I don't have to, but I would like to go back to the orderly. One thing I confirmed in this Japan time is that my home exists here, not in Japan. I have family there. My mother is still there and my brother is still there, but my family, my home is... Like, there's a big difference between house and home. And I think my home is here. So because I'm at home, I let myself go. And as the result, I'm not really recovering so well. But I have a lot to share. I think it was a really good time for me to realize what I'm supposed to do to next 10 years from now. That was the summary of my previous 10 years, starting from 2013 to today. And this 12 days in Japan was a good time for me to confirm, realize, or even understand what is the next step, where I'm gonna go next. So I really appreciate your support and waiting for me, and I'm not not gonna do anything different. It's gonna be the same. I'm not gonna say anything different. I will keep saying exactly the same thing over and over. But the difference is my vision. I think I would say vision. I am now with a bit of vision to do what to... I have a bit of vision I have a bit of vision for what I do, which is introducing, sharing the stories or Sashiko of others, not only myself, but others. There are so many Sashiko I would like to introduce. And each one of those Sashiko has very rich stories. I cannot even explain a whole picture of mine. But there are more stories which has more... there are more Sashiko with more stories. So I don't know if I have enough time to explain introduce everything, but I gotta try. At least I gotta try, so That's gonna be next 10 years of me from now. But again, it's the same thing. I'm gonna be doing the same thing. I'm gonna be talking about the same thing. It's just I am quite happy with what I have achieved. I don't want to say I'm done with what I'm saying. I mean, I don't want to say I'm done with what I like to do, but it concluded very well within myself. That was more than I anticipated. That was more than I dreamed of, for that matter. So, as much as I'm struggling with a lot of issues, it was pretty content. It has been content, actually. It had been content, and it is still content. So if I let myself, how can I say, if I could have been very satisfied and be quiet, that could be one result. But now, thanks to those times, the meetings or, experience time together there, I think I got a new vision. Sorry, it has been like, sorry. It has been 5 or 6 weeks since I have not been doing this live streaming, so it might take some time to catch up. I have left so much things behind, and I kind of forgot how to do the live streaming. I was not doing anything specific even before this, but I feel quite strange to talk to the microphone by myself, which I have been doing, but it's quite interesting to realize that I come back to this orally, and this is my orally. Stitching and talking. So I cannot forget about that. So, as I'm not gonna go back to Japan within a year or so, well, I don't know about a year, but I'm not gonna do anything extraordinary for many months from now on. I would like to focus on the sharing again, sharing stories. And if there's any request for me to talk about, I can keep adding those on the queue. Yeah, don't take this long thread. If there's any advice right now for Sashiko, don't take this long thread or needle. I mean, don't take this long thread. One thing I kind of have to remind myself is that I have to repeat the same thing over and over again. I don't like repeating things because I think it's kind of boring for those who has been listening to live streaming for a long time. The same stories can be quite boring, and as a result, no, not as a result, and therefore I did not want to repeat the stories. But in order to sort of in order to spread the stories, I have to repeat that over and over again. So I might repeat the same stories here and there more than I used to do. So the difference is that before, in last 10 years, my goal was to simply to share, right? Share. So delivering the message itself was not my first priority. It would be great if I could deliver the message, but it's not. It was not the main purpose. From now on, because I'm going to share the other Sashiko, the other stories from the other Sashiko practitioner, I think it's important to focus on delivery. Because I am using their time, their resources to talk about it. So the sort of efficiency or effectiveness of me talking about it matters now. It's not only about me, so like mumbling about the stories for myself is a good thing, but I don't want to just mumble about the other people's story. Stitching itself is doing the same thing over and over again. And that's a good point. So it's probably okay to repeat the same story then. It's probably not as boring as I think. What is your favorite story from the trip to Japan? What is that? That's a very good question. What is my favorite story from the trip to Japan? Can I think about that a little longer? What is the favorite? I'll think about it. I'll think about it and come back. I don't know what is the favorite story. That's a very good question and I don't know. Well, I have to think about it. I would like to think about it. But the significance of the time of visiting Japan was that I finally realized that I was not alone in this. I knew that I was not alone. And I met many people in last 5 years, and the more I spend time together, either live streaming or gathering or online class or in-person class, I knew that I was not alone, but the Japanese friend that I met online were kind of transparent. Like they exist, but they were kind of half transparent. They exist, I know they exist, but it was not really vivid figure. So this time I saw the color in every people. I mean, I confirmed that they exist, which sounds quite crazy, but yeah, I think I'm not alone in this. And that's a quite strong feeling. So from both sides, the side I took with, which is the like non-Japanese people whom I knew that I was not alone with, who has been the friend for a long time, but we have never kind of spent days together. And the people in Japan, we knew each other for a long time, but we'd never met in person. So that was the moment for me to realize that. I think I was supposed to cry that moment, but many people repeated that I should cry in Japanese, and that kind of, well, I was just too tired, actually. I have to admit, I was too tired. But the more I think about it, the stronger I feel like that. So that can be the favorite story, but it's not a story. It's more like a summary of the Japan trip. Story-wise, I'll think about it. There are always new people like me, for instance, who has never heard of these stories. Okay. Agree about retelling. I never stop a story that I have heard because the person will often give a new detail. Well, I will do so. You're not alone and have encouraged many people to find joy in stitching. Now you have met many of those people in real life. Yes. And that was very powerful to know that. I knew it over the internet, but I realized that in person. It's pending, but I will introduce, with permission of course, I will introduce those who I met. And I will summarize those information first who were there. So we can reconnect each other, which I have been not prioritizing, so give me a little bit of time. But there were so many people. I did not realize that. And it could be bigger and bigger. It will be bigger and bigger, so I'm very happy. And I am about to conclude this challenge because I feel so satisfied. And that's not good. That's good for myself, but I would like, that's not probably good for Sashiko per se. So it's good that I found the next challenge for 10 more years. Like I met the kogim stitching master, and I don't think she is well known in English. I don't know if she's well known in Japanese for that matter. But that is crazy to me because she has about 100 students and teaching all over Japan. She has the name for that group, Mokuyokai. And she's 88, I guess, 86, 88 years old, and she's still stitching. She's designing those things, and she has sort of cultivated her own kogin. More than, 50 or 60 years of experience. And I don't know why she's not introduced in English. I mean, why she's not there. So is the person, another person who has been doing Sashiko for more than 50 years. There are so many people who are not introduced because what? I don't know what because. Because they do not speak English? Because they did not market themselves nicely? Probably so. Marketing is all about, letting people know. But I felt a very strong urge to introduce them. Like I wanted to scream that they are here. and they represent Sashiko. So by me defining the Sashiko's answer, I will sort of neglect their stories, and that's what I don't want to do. My story, my definition, my answers are not always their answer, which I kept saying in the tour too. So I don't know if I can do it. It's gonna be a really, really long process because it involves many people, other people. If it's only me, it's kind of it's easy to expect, it's easier to manage, it's easier to control. As it's gonna include many other people, it's gonna be more difficult, more time consuming, more challenging, more struggling for that matter. Like, there might be some discomfort, but I think that's the next step I have to go. Not have to, I like to go. So keep tuned. I am still amazed at her work. Yes, her work was great. Okay, so as I said, today is just the restarting live streaming. I apologize for the last week that I could not do it. It was a little too early. I came back on Wednesday or Tuesday, and Thursday night was a little too early for me to start doing that, so I had to cancel that without notice, and I apologize for that. And this is the restarting live streaming, and I will come back to the next Thursday night. And the next Thursday night, I hope it's gonna be the full-time restarting mode. And I will collect the stories that I have shared already. Probably somebody might want to hear about this thread, needles. Like, why do we use this thread? Why do we use this needles? Why do I share so many stories instead of just defining the answers? So it will be similar stories probably, but it might be more structured starting from next week. I will conclude today's live streaming after finishing this much thread. So if you have any request for me to talk about starting next week, please leave the comment. If you're watching this as the archive, please leave the comment as well. I will try to make sure that I can cover those stories. Yeah. Little by little. Little by little. It's like stitching. Little by little, we will make it happen. I hope I'm not gonna be that different. I think I was the same person before, but please tell me if I am saying something completely different. I don't think I will be saying something different because I don't like contradiction within myself. I sometimes use the contradiction to explain the philosophy behind it, but I don't like to be contradicted within what I'm saying. So if you find me saying something like different or something not comprehensive, please let me know. Good morning from Australia. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming back as well. Are you feeling any better now? Not really. To be honest, not. Like, I'm not feeling bad, though. I'm not feeling horrible. Like, not sick, right? I'm not really feeling sick at all. But I'm not really 100%. So I am feeling okay, but to answer Shinobu-san's question, am I feeling better? Yes and no. I should be. It's probably a jet lag. People say that it takes a day to adjust a 1 hour difference. So I spent 13 days to adjust the 13 hours difference. And then I just, after I adjusted the Japan time completely, then I came back to the US. So now I have to spend another 13 days to readjust it. I think a trip like this does change you in some ways. Yes, I agree. And it is okay to change, and it's good. Actually, it's a good thing to change. But I want to make sure that, as the person who shared the story, I want to make sure that I'm not contradicting what I'm saying. It could be confusing, and I don't like to confuse people. And my message is quite strange. I was talking to the radio, or no, not a radio. Oops. Cut it off. That's the part that I shouldn't have said that. So I will cut it. Well, I was talking to the an editor about what my messages, my stories, and even those like professionals who try to understand me very carefully misunderstood what I was saying. So I think what I'm trying to share is quite unusual, because we have our kind of standard expectation to those who speak up. So if I use the word cultural appropriation, many people start being defensive, although what I'm saying is not really what they're thinking or what they're trying to defend from. So I just don't want to confuse anybody for that. That's why I don't lie anymore. Like, I used to make a lot of white lies, like lies, fake news, not fake news, fake fact. I believe that white lies are actually a good, like a lubricant to make the communication better. Like some fake or exaggeration or some lies, not a serious lie, but some little tiny lies could be actually good for the communication. And I think it is true still. But one thing I realized that I'm not that smart to memorize all of the lies, especially because since I'm sharing the message to the internet, I'm talking to I'm talking to you. At the same time, I don't know who is listening to this. So if I make one lie here, I have to memorize that lie I make today. I don't think I can. If it's closed relationship, I can, probably go around it. But with so I don't like to be just contradicted. I just don't like that, so I will make sure that. A question about you stitching. Are you stitching on the right side of the fabric, or is the other side of which? We stitch from the so-called wrong side, but we don't really have the right side or wrong side. I'm not trying to be mean, I'm just trying to the answer. We stitch from the wrong side or back side of the fabric, but we don't make good side or bad side. The whole purpose of the stitching is to make both sides as the finished side. And in order to explain how to do it, I don't think this live streaming is a good place to do so, so please consider taking my class. I will explain everything, how to do that. But yeah, we mainly, like 95% of the project, we stitch looking at the back side, the wrong side of the fabric. But the goal is not to make those front or back. I mean, it is okay to make those things. It is okay to have the wrong side or back side after stitching, but that's not a principle of that. And I know it doesn't make sense. And when I say those things, sometimes people think that I'm trying to hide something. I am not trying to hide anything. It's just that different. So the information you may find online is not always true, unfortunately. So I don't know what unfortunate is. Anyway, so this is the side I'm looking at, so it technically should be the wrong side. This is the front side, technically speaking, but my goal is to make both sides as the finished side. Susan's question? Susan's question. Where's the Susan? Is this Susan's question? The front, the back side? Okay, anyway. Okay, again, this is the restarting the live streaming, so I will go off a little bit earlier than today. I will come back next Thursday at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. And I hope that I can restart everything as usual next week. So until then, I hope you have a good stitching time, and I hope you have a good night tonight. Thank you so much for coming.